Okay, you just mentioned the album. Do you want to just
Yeah.
run through that? So tell us a little bit more about which album this is, and
Okay.
which period it kind of covers, I suppose, as well.
Right. Okay. What I'll do, I'll roll two things into one here. So, um, a few years ago, um, I decided to put an album together, which I called Retrospective.
Hmm.
So basically, it is what it says on the tin. It's all my sort of best stuff. And this album took on a bit of a life of its own, really. So there was the first edition of it, which
Yeah.
I made as a CD, kind of like
Mhm.
a homemade thing, really. And then um, sometime later, I basically decided I'll add a couple more tracks to that and
Yeah.
expand it out a little bit. So then I got some proper CD covers made, done it again. And I put it on Bandcamp, and then I added a few more tracks to the Bandcamp version. And I got a USB stick version made, like a reduced version with some multimedia.
Hmm.
It just became this thing like it's like a demo um, mixture of really old stuff, really new stuff, all deliberately um, not in chronological order,
Hmm.
and also all the contrasting styles. So I kind of kept it. I had certain boundaries, like no acoustic songs,
Hmm.
songs which no one else played guitar on. That was the initial thing. Songs that I'd written, and then I started to expand into adding the odd cover, or maybe
Yeah.
the odd acoustic track, or something which I'd co-written with someone else. So once I'd got that initial thing of sort of trying to prove what I'd done myself, I sort of opened it up a little bit more. Um, and then there was a tour edition of it, and each time I did a new edition, I would put different bonus tracks on, stuff that wasn't good enough to be on the actual album itself, but
Yeah.
still things that I wanted people to hear, like demo versions or live
Yeah.
versions. And so eventually I decided to turn this into like a trilogy. So
Okay.
there's a sketchbook version, which is the stuff that it is what it says on the tin again. So it's stuff that there might be a small mistake in there or a glitch or
Hmm.
something like that. So couldn't make it onto that album, but it's still good enough, I think, for people to hear, and
Hmm.
really helps me as well to have like a catalogue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's now these three albums, and then I did the bonus tracks version. So all the stuff that had appeared exclusively on the CDs and that they've all been put onto a separate album, so they're
Oh,
all together.
cool.
So there's now uh, I think it's I'm trying to remember how many. I think it's 78 tracks.
Wow.
So they're all double albums. So there's a lot of stuff on there, and even recently I decided to top them up. I added four songs to one of the albums, the sketchbook version. Just as an example, I was going through I'll go through some old CDs and I'll sort of say like, do you think I should use that one? Was one of the CDs was actually getting damaged, and it was more of a case of having to rescue it from the CD. So you
Okay.
rip it from the CD. I thought
Yeah.
I've got to do some. It's now or never, because this is probably I'm not going to be able to play this CD soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I put a couple of instrumental tracks on there as well, and it really helps with compiling set lists and stuff, because it's like maybe I
Hmm.
should try and play that song. Something
Nice.
which I've never
Yeah.
played 20 years ago. So anyway, just zooming forwards,
Yeah.
uh, I never put the retrospective album onto iTunes or any of the digital platforms. I was always very, very hesitant to do that,
Hmm.
and I didn't know whether if I was going to do it to do that as Sam Jones or Angry Town.
Hmm.
So a constant dilemma with that. We've only got 6 minutes, so to see.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So anyway, I eventually came up with this decision because I've reformed the band with a drummer as a two-piece. And we did a gig supporting Sham 69 in
Hmm.
Torrent. I thought, you know what, I think it's now or never. So I put a CD together. This is the CD.
Hmm.
There's the picture. And
Yeah.
that picture was actually taken in Bedgosh in a German ammunition factory from the Second World War. That's another story there. So, so this is a limited edition CD with a leopard print. The
Right
cover
on.
for the digital versions is different. I decided I
Hmm.
wanted to, and I actually got that mastered by a fella called Tim Turan,
Okay.
and he is responsible for all the Slade back catalogue
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and Status Quo. He's all that stuff that's made it out there onto iTunes and that he mastered all that stuff, and so there's a remastered version of that album now. It's on all the platforms. No Second Chance, and it's tracks from Retrospective,
Hmm.
which never made it onto the on there under my name. They're all songs that which are relevant to the band. Some of them are Angry Town, and some of them were
Okay.
songs which Angry Town performed or will perform. But the first and the last song,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a double A side single. They're exclusive to the album, so they open and close it. And
Okay. So
then
what would someone search on iTunes or Spotify then to find
just
you?
Angry Town,
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
So
We'll make sure there's links in the video as well so people can find that. That sounds really cool. What a great thing to put together as well. Nice.
yeah, it was one of those things where I really I really lost sleep. Should I do this? Shouldn't I? Because essentially it was meant to just be a demo. Because I thought
Uh-huh.
we've got to have an album. There has to be an album.
Yeah.
And it was like, should I just have me on the cover, or should I have a logo, or should I use a picture of one of the lineups? And it was a real really difficult to, because I was thinking I shouldn't just have me on there because it kind of confuses people, and but it is what it is, and I got there in the end with it. It was a real banging the head against the wall kind of thing, you know. Um, and I still have a bit of self doubt about, should I have released it, you know, but I did.
I think that's completely natural though, right? I think, anybody that's an artist of any form, whether it's musician, whether it's, what I'm doing, whether it's fine art, sculpture, there's
Yeah,
always going to be that, oh, should I have done another day on it? Should I have kind of
yeah,
waited till whenever? And we've seen when you look back at like art history, there's a whole host of stuff that never really saw the light of day because for
yeah,
whatever reason those artists didn't think it was worth being put out there and stuff. So yeah, I think sometimes you just got to let go and
yeah.
see what happens, right? It's that doesn't make it any easier, but
No, no, because there's so many critics out there as
yeah,
well, and that all they really do is point the obvious out. Oh, the recording's not really, as good as it could be. Yes, I know. I agree.
yeah, it's taking the joy out of it. I think some of that from that point of view, they're just looking for niggles and stuff.
It's much easier to pick fault with something when it exists as well,
Yeah,
and that was the point of it, because I can hold that in my hand.
yeah, yeah,
you know
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, I think
Otherwise it's just an idea, isn't it?
yeah, and it's easy for someone to talk about it, but when you've got physical stuff, that I can completely relate to what you're saying. When I
Yeah,
started developing the dress code thing, I was like, and I remember vividly meeting one of my friends, and I had one of the shirts on, and they grabbed hold of it, and they're like, "Oh, it's soft and it feels nice." I'm like, "Yeah, what did you expect it to do? Did you
yeah,
expect me to just make them out of cardboard or something?"
yeah,
But, um,
yeah, like
it's there's a lot of what I'm saying is there's a lot of nuance and a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that don't necessarily ever make the light of day.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
but they're things that, for you as the person that's doing it, they're really important key decisions that you're making, and
yeah.
you, you do put a lot of time and effort in and emotion, if we're being honest, into it. Because
Well,
it is
it's
a
draining
reflection of you.
and money.
Yeah, there's that as well.